Hello and welcome to another episode of the Aspect series. My name is Ras Masood, and in this lecture we are going to look into another aspect of enterprise class application, and that is responsiveness and styling. It's written Bootstrap here, but actually I've decided to use Angular material here, and I'll start off with almost a blank project. I have something, it's just. Um, basic project which already have some navigation into it. So if I show you what's there, let me just serve it and I will be able to show you what's already in there. um, because I have already installed CLI, so I will just do ng serve. And in my last lecture, I've shown you how we can do the basic navigation, how we can create a basic navigation and move from one page to another page. In this lecture, we are going to build nav bar. We are going to incorporate a third party nav bar in our already existing navigation, which is already there. So if I show you what's here. Mhm. So it was just taking some time to serve. Okay, so I have these two links. The second page is going to second component, and the first page is loading the first component. There are two components and there are two links. If I show you in the code, I have this one component which has nothing in it, just this word. Um, this is the first component, and then there is a second component. There's nothing in it. Just says that this is the second component. Sorry. This is the second component, and then I have the main component, the app component. And there in the previous lecture, I show you what is router outlet and how these things are working, and what is router link, which is actually taking your page to those components. So in this lecture, we are going to use third-party library and a third-party component from Angular materials, and we will incorporate them in our code, and we'll see how we can leverage them and use. We are going to use for the starters. We are going to use two of its components. So let me go to Angular materials website, and on the Angular materials website, um, let me go to the guidelines. So first thing we have to do here is actually to install Angular materials in our application. So I'll go to guide and we'll go to getting started, and it says that these are the commands to actually install Angular material. So I will use this command to actually install Angular material here. So I'll go here and it is going to install it locally. So I'm installing Angular materials. Few of the Angular materials are also dependent on animations. So I will be using Angular's animation here. So to install Angular animation, I'll be using this npm command. It will install the Angular feature, the animation features of Angular. By default, the Angular's animations are not in the core, so we have to install it separately. And let's first wait for this to finish. So the installation for Angular material is finished, and now we are going to install Angular animations. And now let's wait for it to finish. So the installation of Angular animation is also finished. So the next step is to actually look into theming. Now Angular material comes with its own some built-in themes, and it has its own CSS files. To use those CSS files, we have two options. We can use the import statement in our style.css, and then it will be actually this CSS file will be added at a global level, or we can simply use this link in our index.html. I mean, we can use any one of these approach. So I'm simply going to use this link in our index.html. So in our index.html, in the head section, I am going to paste this. Now the next step is to actually use one of the components. So for the starters, let's use a simple component, which is toolbar component. Okay, So we are going to follow whatever is written. So they said that to use a toolbar component, let's go to the API, and it says that the first thing we have to do here is to actually use add this thing in our application, which we are going to tell our application that we are going to use mat toolbar module that comes from Angular materials. So to do that, I'll just go to app module, and here I will put this thing that I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to add this thing in my imports section. So with this, my application knows that we are expected to use anything that comes out of this toolbar module. So next thing there, we can go again back to the overview and see how to use it. So by simply doing this mat toolbar, we will be able to simply use it. So right now you see that there is nothing going on here. And then if I go to my app component and then use mat toolbar here and then save it and then refresh it, so I can see that my toolbar is loaded, but nothing is actually showing up because it doesn't have a background color. So for the colors thing, there are some built-in colors. I mean, I can use the color primary here, and then let's see what happens. Just copy the color again. So for some reason, reference to the internal node module was not working. So I used an online version of this CSS file and referred it like this. And if you save right now, and you can see that the toolbar was loaded, and then I'll check into it what's going on here. So this welcome message, which we have here, welcome to the title. Let's bring it here. So I'll just take this thing out. We'll use it here, and then let's take out the image. We don't need it, and see. So as of now, we have used first component from Angular material, and that is mat toolbar. The second component we are going to use is the side navbar. So we will have a side navbar that will be animated. It will come from the left side. We'll open it and we'll shrink everything that is inside it, and then we will put these two links there. So let's do it. So to bring in another component, and that is side navbar, let's see what the API says. Then API says that first you have to bring in this thing. So in our modules section, we are going to bring in yet another component, and that is mat SideNav module, and then we will inject this module in the imports section like that. And then there's a lot of detail in it. What there are different parameters and there are different attributes we can pass to it, and then how to open and how to close. I'll show you that thing. And then in the overview section, it says that it shows you that there is a button, and which is actually toggling the control, and then we are going to use this thing as it is, and let's see what it looks like. So in our app component, we are simply going to copy paste it here, and then we want our main component to load inside So we want our main component to load inside on the right side of the nav side nav where it says the primary content. So we will copy our router outlet because it loads everything that is on a current current route. So we will put and replace it um, with the main content. And for the side nav content, this is actually about the links. So let's put these links which are actually here, and then let's put these links here. Okay, so the next thing is that we have to actually toggle we have to make sure that the nav bar is open. So for that, let's see what document says. So the document says that there is this opened attribute. If it's the open attribute is true, the nav bar will be open. So let's use this open attribute. Um, so let's use this open attribute like this and see what we have here. So when I tried to load this and the toolbar was the side nav was not loading, so I see what was the error. So I press F12, the developers module, and I see that there is an error that browser animation module is not loaded. Like I told you that few of the things in Angular material required Angular animation to be included, so we have to include Angular animation. To include Angular animation, we will simply use another import statement that will actually include the Angular animation, and we will put it here, and then we have to, of course, use it in the imports of our with our rest of the modules. Now, if we save it and then wait for it to reload. So since we have brought our main content here, so we should also bring our toolbar in here. So I will just bring toolbar on top of our router outlet. So toolbar comes on the top and everything else comes on the bottom, and all of these things actually should come on the right side of the side nav. So that's why all of these things are here. Let's take these things out. We don't need it anymore. And then we have open state to true by default, and then we have two links here. Let's take out these UL and UIs, LIs, and just let's make them simple anchor tags. It's not required, just making things simple. And now these are just simple anchor tags and nothing else. And now if we save them, you can see they are I mean we have our top nav, and then we have our side nav, which is just wait a second, we have to reload. We have our side nav, which is our which is in the open state, and if I change the state to false, side nav will be closed. Okay, and then instead of doing this, if we want to toggle it, let's create a toggle button. And to create a toggle button, let's use another thing in Angular material is icon. And to use icons, we have to create that the famous hamburger icon. And to use icon, let's bring in icons. So I copy this, and then in the modules, I will bring in the icon module. I will bring in the icon module and then add it like we add any other normal module. And with the icon module, we have to see here, and if we see its code, and then in TypeScript it says that we have to bring in icon to the icon registry. So I will copy these things and put it in my app modules constructor. So I will put this thing in my app modules constructor like this, and then we have to bring in mat icon registry and DOM sanitizer, and we will bring these things from here, and then we have to tell where our icon is. And in my case I have an svg called ham.svg that is actually locally there. If I show you, it's it's in my assets folder. I already have ham.svg here, so we have this thing here, and now we want to put this thing on the navbar. So for that we will simply go to our toolbar, and here we are going to place it right over here. So instead of toggling, so now we have an icon, and we are telling what is the icon it's going to use, and then this thumbs up is actually, I just copied pasted here. So actually this is actually this name of name of this icon. So let's change it, ham icon, and then we can simply use it here, ham icon. And then on the click of this icon we are going to toggle side navbar, and for this to work we have to give it a name. So we will do it SideNav nav. Okay, so now if I save it and I open my application again, you can see that so the ham icon is not loading. So if I see the error, it says that HTTP client is required for this, so we need to bring in HTTP client module. So to bring in that, we will simply, in our app.modules, we will just bring in the HTTP module like any other normal module. So let's bring it here, HTTP client module, and then we will use it like any other normal module. And then now if we see, and wait for it to load, so now I have this ham icon here, and if I open this, it opens my side nav, and you see the animation is also working. And let's style this section a little bit, and let me just change the color. There are few color options here. Let's change the color to accent, and then this will change the color of the toolbar. And then in the style section of it, I have some CSS. All it's doing is that giving it the same color to the anchor tags no matter what. And then here they're appearing side by side. So let's put BR here, and let's see what it looks like now. So let's wait for it to load. See, so we have a second page which loads the second component. We have a first page, it loads the first component, and then we have a icon which is actually animating the opening of the side nav from left to right, and it's pushing the content inside. So in this lecture we have seen how we can bring in how to use a third-party styling library. In this case we have used Angular materials, and then we bring into our application, and it's working. It's a little bit of a task to do actually, but it will help you to understand how. And in the later modules, in the later videos, we are going to bring in even more modules from Angular materials. That's it from my side. Thank you.